Hello and welcome everybody to SHKALA Forum. That's one of the most interesting panels happening over the last couple of days. We're going to speak about how communications can aid social entrepreneurs in producing impact changes in society. Social entrepreneurship is about positive changes in society. And how can communication enhance this benefit? We're going to have it from classy people, interesting presenters. Dmitro Logghinov, co-founder of Veteran Pizza Project, Maturin Creative Agency, Irina Titarchuk, Executive Director of Ukrainian Investment and Trade Facilitation Center, Dmitro Fedorенко, the founder of Lagav, social enterprise, and 17 digital agency. Let me start with a simple, or maybe not a simple question, but still, I'd like for you to briefly tell me about the following. What is the role of communication in the social entrepreneurship projects, and is it safe to say that most of the social entrepreneurship projects do not gain support because of poor communication? Well, we need to understand that social entrepreneurship is business in the first place. If all of the business processes are there, then communication may enhance social and business component of it. Sometimes a small company would change the rules of the game in the market because it featured strong social tools or initiatives. Nowadays I can see that many young startups, social enterprises, are mostly focused on other components like communication, but in doing so they lose their idea of a business and product, so these projects fade away quickly. Irina, I fully share this point from Dmitry. Social entrepreneurship is indeed business, allowing to get a particular social benefit. That should be the key message. You need to let them know that every business that is taking care of social projects should let the society know how their products will help people and what can people do about that. How can they become a part of the deal? If you lose touch with the components like finance, marketing, strategic management, or legal things, sooner or later you will see that if you give more information about the social component, there is nothing left for business. You are distracted, you spent on communication. The idea seems to be clear to everyone, but business-wise you're getting nowhere fast because you fail to account for many things. So primarily you need to think of it as a business. It's a comprehensive product idea of yours which can produce a social benefit of a kind. People hear the things that are said, and they do not hear the things that are not said to them. And I quite understand what it's all about. Social entrepreneurship is a slightly different story. It's not the same as charity projects and stuff like that, but I will later tell you about a case of my social entrepreneurship, how communication has helped it create an absolutely new niche and fill it. Yes, we're gonna discuss this later on today. Pizza for the Veteran, this project seeks to aid veterans to find their way in society, and it should change the attitude in society to veterans. Is this really happening in this society now? And what's the role of communication in that? So you as a veteran, do you see this happen in any way? Recently, an interview was made by Leonid, the founder of this, and he himself actually says that the key goal he had in mind setting up Pizza for the Veteran was to create a quality product. So he was sure that he has this willingness to create a quality product for Ukrainians, Kyiv city residents. And then he added to that some social aspects. It's not just about employing veterans, the idea was about something else. When I became a partner in one of the pizza places, there was a willingness to make a quality product. Social aspect is like your internal feeling, the feeling of the people that start and run the business. So I think creating a solution for the social problem should not be an ultimate goal. It doesn't work like that. With this project around, do you think it has any effects on society the way they think of it? I can tell you a good example of social entrepreneurship and how a small project can do things. This is a very small business. I mean, compared to Ukrainian realities, it is a small company. But what can it do for a country, for the public opinion? There is a project showing that there is a particular problem to be addressed. Then there is a ministry that takes care of veterans. And they see, yeah, there is a problem and we gotta take care of this. Veterans have issues with employment and PTSD and so on. They're a part of society, so they should not be left behind. So a small business produces changes across the entire government structure, and that's a blatant example, I guess. Irina, have you ever ordered a pizza from them? Yes, I did. Smells good, I liked it. Tastes good. You know, most of our clientele, which order stuff from our pizza place, they do not know about the social component. They place their orders not because we offer social aid and support to veterans, but we offer a classy product, and that's what they appreciate. Irina, I lately saw findings of a survey conducted by the rating group about a year ago. 83% of people in this country believe that the most important thing for a woman is to take care of a home and babies, but men should be the breadwinners. Business camp for women is the project that you do. You have a team for that, so there are two target audiences. So you take care of women which feel like doing business, they need some consultation, some aid to do it better. But there is a gigantic other audience. Again, the findings of the survey suggest that these people might never think about that, but how can you still work with this audience? How can you change these people's minds? It's a great potential for economy, society, and so on there. I actually think that there are three groups there. Group one is those who are doing business, turning a profit, having a profitable business. So the women that are showcases to us, they are good, motivating showcases for others. So we speak about success stories and failures and so on. Group 2 are the ones that are beginners and they have lots of questions. And group 3 are the women which never consider doing business, although some of them could possibly try and do it. It all is a very individual thing. Sometimes they say people are born entrepreneurial. You cannot learn to be like that. It's partly true. Like, if you feel like doing business, being an entrepreneur, then you attend the training and it will help you become a better, profitable and efficient entrepreneur. You said a year ago they conducted the survey. The situation right now is still the same, so most of them still think like that. When women attend our training sessions, about 70% of women take care of their families apart from doing business. So nothing changed in this regard, and we need to let them know that taking care of the family is not about sex-related gender. It's partnership, it's a particular approach to making money on a partnership basis and raising kids. That's what we tell them about. Women really share the examples of their business. It's real helpful. We have so many partnerships, about 25 partnerships. Out of 200 people that completed training have started business. So some of these people are doing some small business and they raise kids at the same time. So they cook some stuff at home and then they bring it to small businesses, cafeteria and so on. And that sort of collaboration is a good way of communicating things. Like you can make things happen, you just need to give it a try. You should not be silent about that. So back to Dmitry. In your business, do you have many women managing it? It used to be more than now, but Irina makes an interesting point. I can tell you that I can see a growing number of entrepreneurial women around me. In a little while, I think they're going to be competing against the man's world. Now back to your business and project. You did Pizza Veterano project that you launched a while ago, and that was quite an unexpected development. It took a lot of time to overcome stereotypes and engage the government institutions in that. But you created a new segment in the market, and so if people have their dogs, pets, they walk them, and I can see changes in society. I can see people who started picking up dogs, poo, and so on. But it's about changing people's mindsets and habits so that they would do something that they don't like doing, but it's something they should do. So how communication helped you in that? What's the role of it in your story? I think you could have placed Irina where Dmitry sits, and then it would look like women's business, food, and then you go down the chain and you speak about dogs' poo. That's what you get at the end of it. Back in 2014, 78% of people in this country wanted to be Europeans or that sort of thing, but less than 1% would pick up the dog's poo. Why so? Well, nobody would do the pooper scooping at that time. Nobody was a showcase, you were not supposed to do it, and so on. So I decided somehow that right now we're not going to be a part of the EU, so let's build some Europe here, so that we could be more or less ready to do it. In spring I looked around in the street, it was snowing, and after that I could see the dog's poo coming through the melting snow. So I could see that there is a problem with that. I'll have to take care of this. But I need to see if people are ready to go for this. I picked up a plastic bag and I attached it to the light post where we all are walking our dogs. Above it I attached a sign designed by me. It told everybody that you have to pick up your dog's poo. Next day the bags were gone, so I attached some new ones. So people were getting the point little by little. So we looked into the European and American practices, and we can see that where the dog waste station is there, people start doing proper scooping, because it's like a certified area where the dogs can be walked. And that's the place where they do it. And for that they use bio bags, not regular kinds of bags. So they're biodegradable, they're environment friendly, they're made of corn starch. So we found suppliers of that, we ordered the bags, we produced 5 stations, placed them in parks and squares. So I was preparing my immediate neighborhood for that. Most people would do pooper scooping. 10 to 25% of dog owners began picking up their dog's poo and putting it in those bags. If you do 3 times, it's not the most pleasant thing you do. So you have to bind over, pick it up, maybe close your eyes. You pick it up, it's warm, it doesn't feel good, then you wrap it in something. Then you find the dog waste station. Especially if your dog is big, then it produces more poo than a small pooch. I used to work in the communication industry, and I know that any habit is developed because of 2 things. It's like the carrot and stick approach. Carrot is the waste station that you can find in parks and squares. We can work with business, but what could be the stick? The stick could be a fine. So we launched a petition and we collect 12,000 votes. It seems to be a done deal. There is a public demand for that. So let's come up with a mechanism of charging the fines. Then I had to stand in front of a commission. It's a commission on fuel and energy complex. Why dog waste station and all that business becomes a matter addressed by the commission of the fuel and energy complex. I can see some guys serving at the commission because they all are thinking of the million worth budgets, and then we start telling our story. Like, you want fines to be charged for a failure to do the proper scooping. I say, well, that's the problem we're having, and we want for this territory to be better. We want for the neighborhood to be better, so that the poo will not get under your feet. They say, you know, the simple business tool set will not allow you to do what you want. How many stations are you gonna place, and are you gonna be able to install enough of them? What do you do in life? Communications. So they say, go and do communications, but fines, you know, we might introduce them someday, maybe not. Just tell people that they need to do proper scooping. And after that, we did 3 social public announcement campaigns. They were awarded by EFA. It's like a girl sitting in the grass with chocolate on her, and it said, it's just chocolate. And that's the way we let people know that they need to do proper scooping. It's what they need to do in order to keep moving on. And thanks to the communication, we have created this new category, this new market. As far as I can see, many successful projects of social entrepreneurship are done by the people who have expertise in communication. So communication is an important story in terms of working with society. Communication is done by people who care. This might be the way of looking at this. About a year ago, in March, Pizza Veterano started a flash mob. The idea was to get people to pay for the pizza, and it could be delivered to those who fight coronavirus. So It would be delivered to firefighters, medics, National Guard officers. And that's been quite a successful campaign. Hundreds of people paid for the pizza, you delivered it. And there was a good media coverage about that. But communications like that, are they one-off and they only produce a short-term benefit, or can they be extended somehow? Maybe they should be done once a month so that people will be still on it and they would be helping somebody through the social entrepreneurship. What we did was not a know-how. It's been quite a popular way of doing it, like handing up a pizza. This is what catering businesses often do. In my business, we just did it. So you can pay for the pizza and then it would be delivered to the people, to the soldiers and so on. Back in March, the first lockdown began, we could see that we are a socially responsible nation and many people were in need of help, especially the ones which are in the front line of defense at that time. And the COVID situation emerged, and we can see the growing need for protection in society, and we tried to do something about that with our products. So we came up with this flash mob called We Cannot Do Without You, and it's like being a team fighting the COVID back. So the idea was to deliver drugs, to deliver these products to firefighters, medics, doctors in Zhytomyr region. We did a lot of that, and this thing continues. In Ivano-Frankivsk, we opened our pizza business, and in Lviv. Speaking about particular deadline for activation, well, we keep doing it up to this day, but we're focused on the soldiers out there because they get to do most of the work. We cannot make society do it. We cannot, come up with a whip and say, you gotta be aiding everybody, you gotta love them and so on. No, we actually see the social needs, and then as a business, we decide to do something about it, to meet the social need by helping. Dima gave a good example of a social entrepreneurship. He found the market, he sized up its capacity, he realized how he could build business processes, impact logistics, sales. After that, he could see that this business is very much needed by society because it meets certain gaps in society, and that's how it works. If you force somebody to be social, it doesn't work like that. That's a good insight, and before this panel, Nadia Rikitanska spoke about Promprilat, and lots of investors there are not the people willing to make money. They wanted to do something good. They had that need inside of them. By investing in this project, they're doing something good. And that's the demand we can see in society, because social entrepreneurship is not about form. You get CSOs now, it's no longer a big thing. Everybody speaks now about the social entrepreneurship. It's gonna be a rescue. But that's not true either. It only happens if you get people that decide to set up a business and then they use their vision, like helping society, or they choose a cluster of population, maybe they help animals and so on. So they add some sense to this business. Irina, you earlier spoke about how a success story in women's entrepreneurship helps others, as well as negative stories. I mean, failures help too. So we can see more and more good stories here and there about women doing something, launching, accomplishing something. It drives up the economy. Does it really change something in society? Maybe more people would try entrepreneurship, more women would do so. The experience of challenges is very helpful, even if it's something negative in the beginning. Over time it can become positive. It is important to communicate these opportunities and willingness to help and to be socially active. Dmitry rightly says that, as a rule, a comprehensive social business is a business of projects and business of other businesses. They have seen some problems happening nearby, affecting society, local community, and they decided to help. A beginner business is having more problems than a more sophisticated business. I have seen success stories and I have seen challenges our women had. Ochra home brand, which was recently launched, it took them a year to prepare the launch. They figured out everything to make it good, but in that business, mothers and babies that are sick, they produce bad linen and they sell it, and the percent of the proceeds goes to the disability fund or foundation to support these babies. And while communicating with them, they told us that there would be people who would not accept it, that would not accept that sort of business. Not everyone will show their support to you right away. And the home business, they knit products. They employ moms on the baby break and retired people. Some of the proceeds goes to support funds, and then pecuniary aid can be added to the baby break money and pension. And typically you get good cooperation out of that. They support entrepreneurship. So you need to check with them to see what they think. It's a very inspiring thing. There's a chat box where the girls keep in touch with each other. They buy and sell things, do reposting. So it helps the social benefits to happen. Now back to Dmitry. You have spent about 20 years or so in communications in this country, but also you're a part of the board of the Ukrainian Advertisement Coalition. So there are a few lines of business this organization pursues. You're in charge of culture, education, projects, and you definitely know about corporate social responsibility. And in many companies, it's like a line in the budget, and there is something that you have to fund. The international companies are supposed to do it, and that's the project in which they do not risk anything. There is no change in society, and sometimes this word is misused or overused. So you got 2 minutes to tell me, is there any way to change attitude to this term? Or in this industry, I'm speaking of CSR, through communications. I think there is a slight misunderstanding of CSR in society. Some think it's a PR, others think it's HR, something you have to spend your money on. But CSR is about values of a brand and how you can share it with the target audience. But if you do not have values, then there is nothing you can do about that. If a brand promotes family values like McDonald's, then it can efficiently use CSR tools by opening children's rooms in hospitals with the help of Ronald McDonald Foundation. If a brand is interested in maintaining a promising audience in a small city where the business is present, then they invest in education, culture, and infrastructure of those cities through the CSR system. DTEC is doing that. I think we are on the right path, and it's not just something that is done by transnationals. My company, 17, develops special social platforms which attract businesses to resolving social needs. And through little funds, you can brand territories. Murahi, Prebari, there's a museum platform in the making. So I think there is a lot to happen, and within the Ukrainian Advertisement Coalition, this will be a powerful tool allowing us to share this information with businesses. So both of you guys have a tremendous experience in communications. You run one of the most successful creative businesses in this country, maturing company, and you're a social entrepreneur. If you look at the business of social entrepreneurship, what do you think is missing there, communication-wise? In your major business, you may experience typical challenges. Speaking of what is missing, I think what is missing is business. You know, you should distinguish charity from social entrepreneurship. It's not that one is better than other. Both of them are there. Charity is giving something for free. Social entrepreneurship is a business featuring certain social benefits, but it's supposed to make money. And all of that comes from the people that started this business and run it. And then it works. In my clientele and partners, I can see claw chain of gas stations. They do a lot of social projects and campaigns, and they do not advertise it so massively because business owners have this internal willingness to help, and they offer social projects for their staff, and not just that. That comes from inside of that business. One question for Irina. You may have seen this happen quite often because you see how many projects are implemented. I can see, for example, that many people are doing classy projects, but they are kind of ashamed of speaking about their success. They may have done something successful, something great, and they never speak so much about that. They're not boasting their results. They're afraid of communicating. So what can we do about that? It does happen sometimes, so I always say that you don't need to diminish the significance of what you're doing. You don't have to compare yourselves against somebody who's doing better, faster, and so on. You have to compare your project to the same project a year ago. Even if you think that your project is not interesting, and if you speak about that, it's not gonna do anything. Many other people do pretty much the same. In the university, I always tell my students, you should go ahead and ask a question and speak your mind. If you do not offend anybody, if you do not steal anything from anybody. Some might think your idea is foolish, but alright, it's their way of thinking it. But you need to let it out. If you feel like talking about that, and you might be proud of this project vis-a-vis yourself, then you should speak about that, and then you will get a lot of feedback, likes, and reposts. And just to follow up on that question, I'd like to go back to Dmytro. You often see that great people are doing great projects, but the communication is limited down to some friends, people that you know. You don't need to convince them, you cannot change them. they're pretty much like you, so they share your point, they can actually aid you in something. And yet they don't want to overstep a particular limit. They do little communication with other businesses or government agencies. So in that situation that you described, you had to communicate with the authorities. But what would you advise to these businesses? We need to remember that the Ukrainian society right now is in the neo-Christian paradigm. It's like a post-Soviet paradigm. If you stick your head out, you might be in danger, and what you do should be known only to your friends and families. You're doing this for yourself, to improve your karma and so on. But that's the wrong way of looking at this. It looks like you're doing this for your own sake. You have to tell about the good things, but everybody prefers to speak about negative stuff. It becomes trendy, then it gains new ways of description. And I remember back in the day, we were thinking of what we could do, and it was like, good things should be said aloud, and each endorser of the category should pull up somebody else smaller one, making that one popular too. Good things should become popular to become a trend. If it becomes a trend, then everything else will be taken care of. Alright, with this we will discontinue the proceedings of the panel. Speaking of the key points I'm taking from this, there is a need to keep communicating, there is a need to keep looking for the soulmates, people ready to help you, and there are lots of people like that around. While speaking of social entrepreneurship, well, it should be a business, not a charity. It should be business in the first place, and then it could be something producing social benefits. Changes in society is an important thing too, and that's one of the missions of the social enterprises. Thank you so much once again for listening. Thanks to Dmitry, Irina, and another Dmitry. So I'll see you all around.